Tonight, former DEA legend and agent Sally Castillo takes us on an inside tour of the alleged American war on drugs.
As soon as we took him out, we got more banks in Panama now laundering money than when Noriega was there.
I've heard that. What did Noriega do that cost him his little stewardship of that operation down there? He must have made a mistake.
Well, his mistake was that he got a little cocky and got a little powerful because he was dealing with the cartels and playing with Cuba and so forth. And what happened to him was when the U.S. government asked him to train the Contras in Panama, he said no. Because I'm not going to get involved in that. So they said, well, if you don't, then we're going to take you out. And then basically that's what happened. They tried to run a coup on him and so forth, and it didn't work. And they took him up to put the United States government's president in there to run drug money.
That was an amazing thing to watch play out on the American media stage. From your perspective, watching the whole Noriega caper must have been, I guess you had to laugh at it at some point, didn't you? Because you knew what was going on.
It was just so
ludicrous
how we trying to fight the so-called war on drugs when we're letting those third world countries sleep with the cartels.
And watching this whole Noriega caper again go down, knowing what you knew, and seeing how the American public was being lied to and deceived by the media, which played certainly at least a passive role in the whole thing. You must have been also sickened by it.
Absolutely. You know, we had lost an agent, Kiki Camarena, in Mexico, and we lost Frankie Fernandez in Peru.
Did you know these guys?
Oh, absolutely. I knew him. You know, Frankie Fernandez and I used to work together in New York City. And basically what it is this, you know, I couldn't understand what one arm of the government was fighting the so-called war on drugs while the other arm was sleeping with the cartels. And the other arm was more powerful, which was the Central Intelligence Agency.
My thought was about the Operation Just Cause. I remember there was a PBS program called In the 90s, and they would come up with, they have all kinds of video that was, anyway, the story was the neighborhood of El Trio was leveled by this action by our military, and I remember this. They showed a gentleman who had lived in the neighborhood, and he's saying, "Look at this! It's destroyed. All of this for one man, and they don't have him." You know, somebody explained this to me. And another part of the video was the Army. The story was that the Army was burying people in a mass grave. Upwards of 2,000 Panamanian citizens were killed by this operation, and it wasn't reported in this country. And the people that had this film, they said, "Why don't you report this?" Like, say, major news media. They said, "Well," and the response was, "Well, we have to rally around the flag." And you know, I don't know if I have a point other than just I know the video I saw. These people they surrounded the military wanted the cameraman who was taking this video. The townspeople surrounded him and prevented the soldiers from getting the videotape, but.
Right. It was called, the video you're talking about is called Panama Deception. And basically there were thousands of Panamanians that were killed and murdered. And, of course, I've always been a big believer. And I had one CIA official that came up to me and basically told me, with a lot of arrogance, he said, "You know, Sally, we own these countries. We built these countries. We elect the presidents of these countries. And nobody in the world is ever going to stop us." This is a CIA official by the name of Randy Capster who made that statement to me. And he was right. I saw it in El Salvador. I saw it in Guatemala, Panama, any South or Central American country we own. Because we are the ones that give them money for aid. The only person that I thought was going to stand up against the United States government was Chavez out of Venezuela. Look at now, we got Cheney, we got Armitage back. We have all those crooks that used to work for George Sr. are working now.
It's the same old crew, right back
The same old crew. We saw it with Felix Rodriguez in Vietnam, Oliver North, and Sing Lop. All those guys came down to Central America, did the same thing, and they're now down in Colombia doing the same thing.